Hi there, folks. This is Gary Koldak, the sales director for American Eco Roof, based here in Tucson, Arizona. Here is our pressure washer. We're getting ready to clean the roof of our trailer. And we have right here a bottle of Simple Green, and we have a hose going into it from the pressure washer to suck it up into the machine and clean the roof with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get up on the roof with the wand and demonstrate the proper way to clean and prep a roof prior to applying Epoxy Flex.
Alright, Gary, go ahead and start cleaning the roof. While Gary is cleaning the roof, I'll tell you about Epoxy Flex. Epoxy Flex is not acrylic based, and unlike acrylic based sealants, it does not deteriorate in hot sunlight. And being non-toxic, cleanup can be a simple spray of water. Epoxy Flex can be used on flat hospital roofs, flat industrial and home roofs, including, of course, RVs and campers. Epoxy Flex can be used on oil pipelines, ships' hulls, flagpoles, bridge structures, and surfaces requiring protection from the elements.
Okay, folks, I'm going to demonstrate how to brush Epoxy Flex on. Should always start out brushing. Do all the edges, seams, any seriously damaged areas. Go ahead and brush those on first. If necessary, use the Weave Flex, and I'll probably demonstrate that a little later. Go ahead and begin applying the material. This front edge here, it's not badly damaged, not as badly damaged as it probably looks in the video. What is happening here is you're getting the lifting of a previous coating, something silver that was placed on the roof, and it's just lifting off. It's creating just cracks and it really looks worse than it is. So I don't need any Weave Flex on this area. If I brush a nice thick layer of Epoxy Flex over it, it should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and I'll brush on a short section, then I'll zoom in the camera so you can easily see how thick I'm applying it. Make sure you get all corners, tops of screw holes, even if the screws are in all the way. You never know. You never know if that's going to become a leak point, so it's best to go ahead and put a thin layer over even spots you think that won't be a problem. Roofs like this, they want to shift, they want to move, they expand and contract. When traveling down the road, the wind is constantly beating up on this metal. So you need a coating that can flex. And really, I'm actually being a little too thorough with this. You can slop this on, you can be real dirty with it. There's no reason to So we're aiming for approximately 28 mil. On all areas. And sometimes brushing, it's hard to tell. But right there, you're looking at about 28 mil of brushed on thickness. So let me excuse the loud roof. It is metal and very noisy. So there you go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up. I'm going to do the rest of these seams. I'm going to go all the way around the outer edge of the RV, and then I'm going to do these the seams in the middle, separating the different sections of metal that are approximately 3 to 4 feet wide. Hey there, folks. I wanted to add before I went any further. I've finished this this first edge, and I want to mention you can absolutely spray this product on. What we're doing for the purposes of this video is showing how easy it is to take the material, take the kit, and repair a damaged area. For example, if a leak formed here somewhere and water was coming through the roof, if the crack or the hole is not large, we could apply a generous amount of epoxy flex and seal that hole. If it's a larger hole, for example 2 to 3 inches across, or where an area exists that the seam separated, these seams here these metal seams sometimes have a tendency to separate. If that were to separate right here, I'll go ahead real quick and show you the proper procedure to fix that, to ensure not only flexibility but superior tensile strength of that area of the roof. Alright, folks, so we're going to pretend that this is cracked here. This seam is separated, and we're going to use epoxy flex and weed flex to permanently fix this area. First, I'm going to apply a thick layer of epoxy flex to the area. Let me make sure we can see that. Okay, good. Alright, so we want to make sure it's nice and thick because we're going to be pressing weed flex into that. So I'm going to cut a square weed flex about 8 inches by 8 inches for this little test here. Actually a lot smaller because I'm going to go ahead and take the weed flex, press it into the epoxy flex. Kind of like making a cast. Press it in, keep pressing it till it takes the shape of the roof, takes the shape of this seam. We want it to not be noticeable once it's dry. Once this is dry and we put some more epoxy flex over it, we want to make that as uniform as possible to match the rest of the roof, so you can't tell a repair was done there. So now that we've pressed the weave flex into the material, we're going to take additional epoxy flex and we're going to coat over it. A nice thick layer. And you're done. This roof will fall apart before this area leaks again. Now what I'm doing is, just like I did with the seam, I'm going to apply a thick layer of epoxy flex around this vent. It's hard to see in the video, but over here the plastic is cracked where it was screwed into the roof. Over years, the plastic dries out and tends to crack. So I'm going to make sure that I'm covered on this spot especially. So go real thick all the way around this vent.
Now, while Gary is preparing that vent for the layer of polyester, let's talk about how long this roof can last if it's undisturbed without tree branches or someone screwing an antenna into it. Epoxy flex has been known to last 20 years at least on buildings in the past because it provides a membrane. And of course it's impervious to acids, oils, bird droppings, and bright sunlight. The more sun, the better it likes it. Epoxy flex will cure out in 40 to 50 years. It remains flexible and pliable. That's the beauty of it. And of course, as we mentioned, it's non-toxic. We're not wearing masks. It does not emit fumes. And as mentioned earlier, epoxy flex is resistant to nature, including hail. So Gary, what are you going to do next?
Well, we got a nice thick layer of epoxy flex laid around the vent. I'm going to take my pre-cut piece of weave flex here. I'm going to place that around the vent. Again, gently pressing it into the material. I want it to lay flat. I want it to be uniform. I don't want any ridges. I don't want any pockets. So when it's done, it's a uniform piece. And it looks like the rest of the roof. Just like that. Now, grab my brush, epoxy flex. I'm going to go and I'm going to cover this piece entirely. And that's it, folks. Now, this section of the roof will outlast the RV. This section with the weave flex embedded in it is extremely strong and will take all types of weather.
Okay, Gary, let's prepare to do the entire roof. Okay, we see Gary has opened up one of the kits and has put the roller on the applicator. And we're using a pan with Epoxy Flex in it. And now the action starts. As Gary mentioned earlier, this coating will last longer than this RV. Unless it's disturbed by low-hanging branches or someone puts an antenna or other protrusion on the roof breaking the membrane, which is no problem. You simply recoat it in a small amount of Epoxy Flex. We're creating a roof that's going to be hail resistant, and the more sun, the better it likes it. And the interior of this RV will be cooler by 15 to 20 degrees.
Hey there folks, welcome back. We've finished the RV, coating's done. We completed all vents, all protrusions, all edges with the material. And as you can see, really bright white. Now we'll take temperature measurements in a little while and get the results from that, but the original temperature before we even touched the roof was 152 degrees on the roof, on that bare metal that was up there. And on the inside it was 109 degrees when I pointed the laser thermometer at the ceiling. So we'll see what we come up with.
Well folks, Gary has completed the roof, and number one, he didn't fall off and break his back, and number two, it's complete. This roof will last longer than the RV. It's nice to know that Epoxy Flex has a long-term protective membrane for the owner, and all done in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Much better, I think, than going to a service center and spending $1,500 to do the same thing. You can do this with a kit. Contact us at the telephone number that was reflected earlier. Okay folks, Gary has completed his job of applying Epoxy Flex on this RV. He did not fall off and break his back. He's doing well. I'm Bill Tiley, summarizing the work on this RV. I'm the owner of American Eco Roof and Solar, or Aresco, telling you that yesterday at this time the interior roof temp was 109 degrees Fahrenheit and the exterior was 152 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that we've applied Epoxy Flex, the temperature on top is 100 degrees Fahrenheit and the interior is 95 degrees. Now this is Tucson, Arizona, where it's 95 degrees in the shade. So the application of Epoxy Flex on this RV is successful. 2 hours and 10 minutes for the application, and this roof will last longer than the RV. Remember to call 520-461-9692 and order your kits. It's $150 per kit. You can also order higher amounts in 5-gallon containers. Bill Tiley saying good luck, see you later, and use Epoxy Flex by SafeTite.